Hello everyone. I'm John and I'm a project manager. We have recently started to construct a tall building, and now we are in the stage of constructing the substructure. If you don't know what the substructure is, it is the part of the building that is underneath the ground. This includes foundation, basement, and retaining walls. And the substructure of a building transfers the load of the building to the ground and isolates it horizontally from the ground. And we know that construction sites are high-risk working environments. Therefore, health and safety regulations must be closely followed to reduce the chance of injury and protect the lives of workers. So let's visit the site and see what's going on there. The first thing you have to follow when working in a construction site is wearing personal protective equipments. This includes hard hat, safety shoes, reflective vest, gloves, safety harness, eyes, and hearing protection. Personal protective equipments are used to reduce the employee exposure to the hazards when engineering and administrative controls are not feasible or effective in reducing these exposures to acceptable levels. Hard hat is used to protect workers against impact and penetration of falling, flying, and stationary objects. Workers performing tasks which potentially expose them to extreme foot injuries, such as operating a ground temper or chipping concrete, wear the jackhammer shell wear metal foot protectors. To prevent employee eye exposure, safety glasses are used with side shields. Many construction and manufacturing activities are overexposed to noise. Overexposure can damage your hearing. And hearing loss blocks you from hearing other hazards on the job. Reflective vests are intended to provide visibility of the person wearing it in low daylight or in the dark when illuminated by lights. The distinct characteristic of the vests ensures quick detection of the wearer. Safety gloves help to protect our hands against scrapes, scratches, and cuts. We have discussed the personal protective equipments and other precautions that have to be followed. Now we will look into the hazards and risks that are associated with our construction site. We all know that several utilities may be present underground, such as electric cables, water pipelines, gas pipelines, sewage pipelines, other communication cables. These utilities may get damaged or cause harm to us if not properly identified and isolated. Before starting any excavation, the supervisor has to take a work permit for necessary areas that are to be excavated. This will ascertain the presence of underground utilities, and if they are present, then such utilities have to be properly isolated. Do not forget to use insulated tools and tackles during excavation to prevent accidental contact with power lines. Still, if you come across any symptoms of the presence of utilities, immediately stop the work and report to your supervisor. Since we are excavating for a higher depth for the foundation of the tall building, there's a risk of the presence of poisonous gases, which could cause damages to the health of the workers. By monitoring the working site for gas leaks, wearing personal protective equipments will mitigate those risks. Another major hazard in the substructure construction of a tall building is collapsing retaining walls. It can be due to poor soil stability, bad weathering conditions, and excessive loads at the edges. Let me show you a video of an incident that happened at a construction site. You can see that a concrete retaining wall is collapsing. This was due to an increase in lateral earth pressure after heavy rain. The collapse of retaining walls poses a great threat to the lives of the workers who are working below. This can be mitigated by installing cave protection. And also sheet piles should be installed, then provide the shoring. The risks associated with retaining walls and trenches can be reduced by moving extra excavation materials at least 2 feet away from the edges and removing personnel from the edge of the ground who are not working. The sides of the excavation or trench should be supported by timbering or other suitable means, or sloped and battered back to a safe angle of repose to prevent a collapse. The type of support necessary and angle of repose will depend upon the type of excavation, the nature of the ground, and the groundwater conditions. Since we are constructing a tall building, we have to go for a deep foundation. Therefore, piles have to be installed. Piles are cast up to above the required level. Then it is broken up to the required level, This is known as pile hacking. Drillers, breakers and chippers are used in the pile hacking process. This can be very dangerous because of the scattered particles and pieces. Proper safe goggles, face shields, gloves, ear protectors and boots should be worn by the workers who are doing pile hacking, and also, all the workers must be on alert to mitigate the risk of injuries. Another hazard in process of pile installation is exposed ends of reinforcement after pile trimming. Using protection caps on the bars after pile trimming and before placing foundation concrete will reduce the risk. Water is one of the major concerns during excavation operations. The action of water in excavations can cause undermining and cave-ins. Employees must be properly protected when working in excavations where water has accumulated or is accumulating. Precautions will vary with each situation, but may include diversion, dewatering systems, special supporting systems, or water removal equipment. The competent person must monitor water removal equipment. The stability of adjacent buildings, walls, or other structures is endangered by excavation operations. Support systems such as shoring, bracing, or underpinning must be provided to ensure stability. Excavation below the level of the base or footing that could pose a hazard is not permitted except when the excavation is in stable rock, or a support system is provided, or registered professional engineer approves. Sidewalks, pavements, and appurtenant structures must not be undermined unless a support system or another method of protection is provided to protect employees from collapse.
It's reported a collapse of an open excavation on November 19, 1990 at approximately 8:30 p.m. at 14th and H Streets, Washington, D.C., which is 150 feet by 208 feet by 47 feet deep for an office building. Construction had stopped for the day at the time of the accident. A few hours later there was a secondary cave-in. So far no deaths or injuries reported, but surrounding offices have been evacuated and repair crews are watching cracks in the streets for signs of even more cave-ins.
As workmen were moving to shore up damage from last night's collapse, this afternoon another cave-in happened. This time a portion of the 8th Street roadway is part of the 8th Street sidewalk. In a wooden construction walkway tumbled into the hole. This secondary collapse had a number of people here on edge. The biggest question, and one that wasn't answered for many hours, was whether any people were buried under the debris down in that hole. Paramedics were everywhere on the scene, laying out stretchers and preparing for possible casualties. The collapse snapped electrical lines, creating flying sparks and explosions. Firefighters waited for hours to hear that all of the power to the area had been shut off. Even then it wasn't safe to go in and search for survivors because of the unstable pit. These cave-ins have caused a tremendous amount of confusion for the people who work down here. The area around the collapse and the impact on downtown may last much longer.
As you saw, it was an excavation collapse that happened in 1990 in the United States of America. Soon after, the collapse investigations were begun. Then they have found that the internal support system erected at the construction site was not capable of resisting the soil load which could be reasonably expected in certain members, and their connections were not adequately designed to suit the field conditions for the expected loads. And also they have found that the spacer beams between the whale and the soldier beams and their connections and the sloping whale were determined to be the most highly stressed members and connections of the support system and contributed to the collapse. As you just saw, accidents can happen at any time. Therefore, we have to strictly follow the health and safety guidelines. So far, we have discussed about hazards, risks and health and safety policies. Now we will be looking into simple steps that we can take to manage the health and safety in our construction site. Talking with the team. Effective consultation encourages greater awareness of issues and can lead to improved safety outcomes. This includes concerns about the workers' well-being because mental health is as important as physical health. Therefore, attend weekly toolbox talks to discuss safety on the job and follow up on the workers' suggestions and make improvements with a record of safety discussions. Managing hazards. Part of managing health and safety in our workplace is controlling the risks. To do this, we will need to identify potential hazards accurately. Having identified potential hazards, we will need first to consider if they can be eliminated. If this is not possible, consider the risks involved and put practicable measures to control them. Information, training and supervising the team. Training, including workplace inductions, is one of the best ways to ensure that the people in the construction site are safe while at work. It provides workers with information about the potential risks associated with their work, the safety policies and procedures we have in place, as well as how to work safely and deal with emergencies. It also ensures that the workers understand their work environment, their job expectations and employment conditions. Maintaining a safe workplace. It is everyone's responsibility to maintain a safe workplace. Regular communications between management and workers are crucial to keeping safety a priority. Add the topic of safety to the regular meetings, so workers feel comfortable bringing up any issues as they arise. Keeping records. Written records of the construction site's health and safety activities, near misses and incidents are important. These records can help demonstrate what we have done to manage safety in our workplace. This can be important if an incident occurs and requires an investigation, and also we can learn from the mistakes and can be avoided those mistakes in the future. Monitoring and reviewing to improve. Managing and improving health and safety needs to be ongoing. Safety processes and operations evolve with time. When we actively seek to identify hazards, inform and supervise the team, so we can be confident that we are managing the risks and the people exposed to them. As we discussed before, hazards and risks cannot be completely uprooted. Therefore, it's always better to have a plan for an emergency. If there's an emergency in the construction site, the first step that have to do is stay calm. Our example can influence others and thereby aid the emergency response. Then we have to assess the situation and determine what happened and what the emergency is. And also try to identify the cause that must be controlled to eliminate immediate, ongoing, or further danger. The next step should be take command. If there are injured people, quickly take them to medical assistant or take them to the nearest hospital. The most senior person on the scene should take charge and call or delegate someone to call emergency services. Generally call 119 and explain the situation. Then assign tasks for controlling the emergency. This action also helps to maintain order and prevent panic. After taking command, provide protection in order to eliminate further losses and safeguard the area. Protect the victims, equipment, materials, environment, and accident scene from continuing damage or further hazards. Divert traffic, suppress fire, prevent objects from falling, shut down equipment or utilities, and take other necessary measures. Preserve the accident scene. Only disturb what is essential to maintain life or relieve human suffering and prevent immediate or further losses. Then the next step is aid and manage. Provide first aid or help those already doing so. And direct all workers to a safe location or command post. This makes it easier to identify the missing, control panic, and assign people to emergency duties. Another important step that we have to follow is maintain contact. We have to keep emergency services informed of situation. Then exercise increasing control over the emergency until immediate hazards are controlled or eliminated. I think you've got an understanding of why it is important to enhance health and safety. Safety first and progress must. Life is rare and live with care.